He walked over, pulled out the chair next to yours, and sat down. You were glad he wanted to sit with you. He just needed to know it was okay. Now that everyone was situated, Mommy began to pass out plates.
Okay.
Dig in, kids. I cooked a little bit of everything for dinner tonight. Be sure not to avoid all of the veggies.
Ugh.
Yes, Mom. Each person at the table served themselves, except for one. Cove hesitated again. He fidgeted with his hands, clamped on top of his knees. He didn't seem very comfortable doing stuff in someone else's house. One dish seemed to have his eye at least. That's pineapple chicken. Want to try some? Not really. Sorry. The foodie in me. The foodie in me is. I've been stabbed. Oh, it hurts, Cove. It hurts. How could you? By then, your moms had noted that Cove still had nothing on his plate as well. Cove! Do you know my mom slaved over a hot stove? I'm speaking as somebody, who cooks. When they cook for people, they cook for the heart. Like, she put so much love and care in preparing this meal for you, and you're not even gonna take it. Like, Cove. I get that you're still feeling, really down, but Cove, that's a little rude, boy. It's a little rude. You're 8, but still. Do you not like any of the food, honey?
Well,
Maybe he hasn't tried Hawaiian food before. He hasn't? Wow. So is this taking place in Hawaii? Hawaii? Please don't talk with your mouth full, Lizzie. Lizzie swallowed the bite she was eating. Then she spoke again. He should try it now. She turned to Cove dramatically. Unless you want to shrink. That's what happens if you miss a meal. Elizabeth, that's not true. You know that. Cove squirmed under all the attention. He fidgeted with a fork between his fingers. I had some things, just not any of this. Well, you'd be surprised. Don't knock until you try it, bud. You'll be surprised. Especially since someone went through all the trouble to make this dish for you. The least you could do is to have a bite,
Oh, shoot.
I knew I should have asked your dad what your favorite foods were. It's all right, Lanny. Maybe he'll find a new favorite today. Yeah, exactly. He might. You weren't so sure about that. Cove didn't look like he was going to be trying the food anytime soon. Well, if he doesn't, that's really sad and disappointing. You let your moms handle this. I think you would like the pineapple chicken. It's yummy. Give me your plate. You should try something new. Yeah, it's between these two. I'm gonna be a little gentler. Instead of being like, you should try something new. I'm gonna be a little bit gentler. I think you would like the pineapple chicken. It's yummy. Give it a shot. He ultimately trusted your judgment. Yeah, you should trust my judgment. At your suggestion, Cove carefully spooned rice and the chicken onto the plate. You saw that he took more of the grilled pineapple than any of the vegetables. It's a start. Beggars can't be choosers. Okay, it would be nice if he had some of the vegetables too, but you know what? Baby steps. Start with the pineapple chicken. Heck, start with the pineapple first, and then go with the chicken after that. You nodded, pleased, and your moms let it slide. At first, Cove poked at his food. Clearly he was apprehensive to eat something new. Yeah, if he's really, really picky, we're gonna have some issues when we get older if he stays this way. I'm wondering though if I will be able to influence his adventurism when it comes to food, because supposedly the game is supposed to, things you do in the game supposedly will affect his personality when he's older. So maybe if I encourage him to try new things, perhaps he will be less apprehensive about trying new things. That's what it would make sense, right? At first, Cove poked at his food. Clearly he was apprehensive to eat something new, but he took a few exploratory bites. Good.
Right?
It's good, huh? Isn't it? You don't have to keep asking. He still spares. Yeah, it's like the more you poke at them and be like, it's good, huh? The more resistant they're gonna be. He still speared more meat with his fork and ate it, chewing thoughtfully. It's not bad. Okay, well, you're welcome, honey. Mommy grinned at his words, satisfied, even though it wasn't exactly a glowing commendation. Lizzie wasn't as mollified. You're so weird. Lizzie, you're so mean. Don't be mean to your friend. We're not friends.
Oh.
Clearly. Oh. Mommy floundered in the face of Cove's blunt honesty. You weren't surprised by Cove's declaration. The more you got to know him, the more you realized he wasn't the type of kid to keep his opinions to himself. She wasn't easy to get along with all the time, though Cove didn't make much of an effort either. Yeah, that's fair too. You hoped Cove thought of you as a friend. The two of you were friends, right? You wondered how he felt about you. That still made you nervous about your own relationship with him. At least the two of you were definitely friends. That still made you nervous about your own relationship. You wondered how he felt about you. The two of you were friends, right? You hoped Cove thought you... I'm gonna wonder how he felt about me, because, you know, you wondered how he felt about you. You had never asked before. When you gave Cove a look, he returned a small smile, and that made you feel good, even though you were still unsure what it meant. Your mommy looked at Mom and only got a shrug.
No.
Elizabeth, don't call someone weird. There's no such thing as a weird person and a non-weird person. There's just different perspectives. It's not a nice thing to say to someone, anyone. But Pam, Mommy tried to whisper exclusively to Mom. Her attempt to make it audible over the sounds of clanking silverware meant you caught the quiet words anyway. They're not friends, he said so. As parents, we can only try, and sometimes we fail. Not all kids will be thick as thieves, that's true. Now, less talking and more eating, kids. You need to clean up and start winding down for bed soon. But Mom... No buts. We've talked about this. Your bedtime will be moved back in a few years. For now, you don't get to stay up late. Lizzie sulked, muttering under her breath about how it wasn't right. You laughed at Mom's phrasing. You groaned about it as well. You stayed quiet and finished your meal. That was definitely me. I didn't, add to the drama. I stayed quiet and finished my meal. It was good food, and you're pretty content to just keep eating. That's the idea. Good job, Fawn. Everyone else get to it. Because, I want to finish my meal. The rest of dinner passed by uneventfully. Cove was silent for most of it, even when you nudged him and tried to get him to talk. All too soon, the table was cleared, the games in the living room were put away, and you were all steered to your bedrooms. Mom finished tucking you in and kissed your brow, just as Mommy poked her head in the room. All ready for lights off, you two? You were lying comfortably in your bed, the blanket hiked up under your armpits. You could kick it off later if it got too hot. Mom had set up the sleeping bag on the floor for Cove, just beside your bed. He had already wiggled inside. You nodded for the both of you in response to Mommy's question.
Good night.
Perfect. I'll go say goodnight to Lizzie then. Mom tweaked your nose, chuckled when you squawked in annoyance, and left. Mommy took her place, sitting on the edge of your bed.
Sweet dreams.
Thank you, Mommy. She kinda does, especially with her hair and her skin. She actually looks a lot like my mom when I was this young, when I was 8. A lot of this is what my mom looked like, minus the nose piercing. And this outfit is something she would wear. My mom's very pretty, even today. She pressed a soft kiss on your forehead. You giggled as strands of her hair fell forward and tickled you. Mommy smiled down affectionately at you, then moved her attention to Cove, who watched from his spot on the floor. Do you need anything before falling asleep, honey? What does your dad do? Sometimes he picks me up and lifts me really high, and he shakes his hands like he's gonna let go, but he catches me again. He keeps doing that until sometimes he does drop me on my bed, or other times he lowers me down and he pretend like I'm crashing. Cove had become pretty excited when talking about the nightly ritual he and his dad shared. He seemed to realize how animated he was and bashfully quieted. But I don't want to do that here. I understand that. There's certain things that are just sacred. You just do that with your dad and no one else.
Aww.
Oh, how fun. Though I think you're right that it might not be a good idea to do that tonight. The sleeping bag might not be soft enough landing. If there's anything else, you can always ask me or Vaughn's other mom. Me or Vaughn's other mom. But I'm the nicer one. Just don't tell her that. She laughed good-naturedly and stood up.
Take care.
Sleep well, Cove. Night. Leaning against the door jamb. What's a door jamb? I wonder, I have to look that up. I've never heard of that, door jamb. She rested a hand on the night light switch and looked to you. Good night. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. With a last smile, Mommy turned off the lights and stepped out, closing the bedroom door behind her. You listened to her footsteps fade as she walked down the hallway. But even as the sound vanished, your eyes stayed open. It was so exciting to have Cove spending the night. You were happy that Cove was spending the night, but you couldn't shake the conversation from earlier at the dinner table. Cove had said that he and Lizzie weren't friends, but that wasn't the part that was bothering you. You couldn't stop from wondering what he really thought about you. You decide to ask him. No, I'm gonna ask him. You decide to ask him. Cove? Yeah? Are we friends? Cove didn't speak for a few moments, and you wondered if you startled him with the question. The longer the silence stretched, the more uneasy you felt about his impending answer. I know, like, he's taking a while to think about it. I'm not sure about this. Do you think we're friends? Oh, gosh. The old ask a question with a question. That doesn't make me feel any better. Even if he says yes now, it's like, you know, if you really thought we were friends, you probably would have answered that question right away. But the fact that you had to, A, think about it really long, and B, you answered my question with another question is just like, oh. You wrinkled your nose at the question being redirected back at you. The way Cove had asked it made you think that maybe he hadn't even questioned it before, and now more than ever you wondered if you should have kept it quiet instead. No, I'm all about open communication, even at that age. Even when I was young, I think. Yeah, we're friends. We're best friends. I don't know. Not really. You decide. I mean, I'd like to think we're friends. I'd like to think so. So, like, but I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, so what is this? What is this between us, you know? Are we not? You decide. Not really. I don't know. We're best friends. Yeah, we're friends. I'm gonna say, you decide. I'm gonna turn it back at him. Two can play this game, Cove. Two can play this game. You decide. Cove whined a little. He didn't want to be the one to say something first. Well, I'm forcing you to. Sorry, buddy. I mean, I asked you the question. You tried to redirect it, so... I mean... I'm not... You wanna up the ante? Then I'm gonna up the ante on back to you. So, that's just how I'm gonna operate. It's only fair. He let out a frustrated huff of air, but eventually gave in. That's me basically saying, I asked you first, bro. You know, dude, I asked you first. Not fair. Weren't you talking about cheating before, Cove? You said that people shouldn't be cheating. So I think you answering my question with another question redirected back to me. I think that's cheating, Cove. Don't be a cheater. Fine, I think we're friends. What about you? You smiled at him, even though you weren't sure if you could see it. I think we're friends, too. He breathed more easily after that. Good! Trying to yank you out a little bit. Pull you out, Cove. Just a little bit. You know, kind of want... It's one of those... It's weird because he's the kind of kid who doesn't hold back on his opinions. But then he, like, is super reserved and super involuntary of other things. Otherwise, you know, it almost feels like I wish he was more upfront about the things he normally is private about and more relaxed or chill about the things he's very blunt about, if that makes sense. So, okay. It made you feel nice to know that two of you are officially friends. You started when Cove sighed deeply. You turned your head to look in his direction. In the dark, you could only see a faint outline of a lump under the covers. Cove? What's wrong? What was that? Could you be less loud? Could you be quieter, please? Stop that. What was happening? You turned your head to look in the dark. You could only see a faint... Cove sighed deeply. Oh, he sighed. That's what it was. What's wrong? I can't sleep. Why not? He shifted, or at least you thought he did. You couldn't see anything since your eyes were still adjusting to the dark, but you heard his sleeping bag rustle. I want to be in my bed. I mean, we can swap places. I would offer, honestly, if somebody was sleeping over at my house, I would offer to let them sleep in my bed, and I would be the one in the sleeping bag. That's normally how our family operates when we have guests over, is we offer them. I want to be in my bed. Oh. Cove sat up. Your eyes had gotten used to the low light, so you could see him better. He got out of the sleeping bag, wobbled towards your side table, and pulled open the top drawer. What is it? I'm getting my glasses. You sat up, too, watching as he reached inside. He paused for a second, then pulled his hand out. Instead of his glasses, though, he was holding a book. Cove turned it around in his hand, trying to figure out the proper orientation for it. You knew even without reading the title which one it was. That was one your moms would read to you. It was special. Be careful, that's mine. I thought you were looking for glasses. What are you doing with that? What are you doing with that? Oh, I thought you were looking for your glasses. I was, then I felt this. It looks cool. The compliment he afforded your special book had you grinning, your confusion forgotten. It is really cool.
Oh?
Oh? What is it about? It's a story about a squire who wants to become a knight, and there's magic. Does it have mermaids? No, but... I love the main character because the squire's really brave and funny. It has cool pictures, some of them even take up the whole page. Mommy reads it to me. She uses different voices for every character. There's a dragon in it and crazy things happen. Mommy reads it to me. She uses different voices for every character. Some of them are really silly too. There's lots of characters and they all have good lines, so it's fun. Cove looked excited by your words. He flipped the book over and focused at the backside summary. He must be pretty interested in it. You were reminded of the hours you'd spend hearing the tales. No matter how many times you read it, or had it read to you, you were still entertained by the story and pictures inside. You glanced out the window. The moon was high in the sky. It was definitely at the time when you were supposed to be asleep. You couldn't keep staying up. I'm gonna read the book with Cove, because Cove can't... Look, Cove's not gonna be able to fall asleep anyway, so this is probably our only chance. If he's not gonna sleep anyway, I'm not gonna torture him, so I'm gonna read the book. You wanted to read the book with Cove. You climbed out of bed and paddled over to your side table. You opened it and rummaged around, pushing aside stuffed toys and crayons. Cove called out to you in a confused whisper. What are you doing? You'll see. You let out a quiet cry of victory when you found what you were looking for. You jumped back into the bed before any hidden boogeyman could catch you unaware. That's so adorable. Cove continued to watch as you wiggled your way beneath the blanket you discarded earlier. You pulled it up over your head. What? Come on, check it out. Bring the book, too. After a minute, the bed dipped as Cove got into it. Then the blanket shifted. You fiddled with the flashlight in your grip, feeling for the switch. With a click, the small space flooded with a bright light. Cove sputtered, putting a hand up to shield himself from the beam. Move it somewhere else. Sorry. You tilted the flashlight so it was shining down towards the floor of your blanket cave and away from Cove's sensitive eyes. Is that better? Yeah. Now we can read and my moms won't know. I do this all the time. I've never tried something like this before. I probably never tried something like this before. But you couldn't sleep and I don't want the sleepover to end, so I thought we could stay up together. Do you want to try? Cove nodded. Pleased by his straightforward response, you placed the book between you and flipped it open to the first page. Meanwhile, he lay down on his belly and shuffled closer, picking up the flashlight that shined it on the pages. His face was illuminated with a warm glow. You mirrored his position, leaning in so you could see the book better. Your foreheads nearly brushed until you shuffled back a comfortable distance. You wanted the story to be narrated. You thought it would be best to take turns reading the book silently. No, not silently. You flipped to the pages to show Cove cool pictures. No, I wanted the story to be narrated. You loved it when Mommy read to you. Why not read as loud as you dared this time? Why not read as loud as you dared this time of night? You didn't even need to study the page for long. There was once a squire who dreamed of knighthood. All they wanted was to do good. Cove was taken aback when you began to recite the words by heart. You even pronounced knighthood properly, a word which had given you grief in the past. His reaction encouraged you to keep going. Soon you got to an exciting part. The squire and the dragon's first meeting. The squire walked up to the fearsome dragon, their borrowed sword in one hand and a torch in the other. Her red scales danced in the light like flickering flames. Could you say the dragon's lines? Do you need to get your glasses? No, my head hurts if I don't wear my glasses for a while. I can kind of see things all right, but I don't know any voices. That's okay, it's fun anyway. Let me just... Cove read the page, his mouth moving silently with the words. Eventually he nodded to himself and spoke them out loud. Who goes there? Roared the dragon. Who dares enter my cave? It was your turn. You went to the squire's famous speech. The next time you looked up from the page, your gaze landed right on Cove. His eyes were following the text, a soft smile lighting up his features. A lock of his hair fell into his field of vision, but he gave it no notice. He was lost in the story. You started when Cove caught you watching him. He raised a questioning eyebrow. What? Nothing. Cove shot you a strange look, but he went back to the book. You did too, even as your eyelids started to droop. When your eyes opened again, your bedroom was pitch black and silent. Your head was smushed in your pillow. Your pajamas were sticking to you, and your mouth was dry. Slowly you raised yourself onto your elbows. You yawned, the back of your throat twinging as you did so. You rolled onto your side to sit up in bed, planning on getting water from the kitchen, when you saw a dark shape towering over you, above you. You froze. Then you remembered you weren't alone in your room tonight. Cove? That you?
Yeah.
Oh, did he still not fall asleep? Was he still, awake the whole time? You shifted and felt something cylindrical press against your thigh. You fumbled for it, the familiar weight of the flashlight pressed into your palm. You turned it on. Cove blinked at you, looking exhausted. He was in his normal clothes again, shoes and everything. His pajama pants were left on the floor, abandoned. His sleeping bag was in a similar state. What is it? Can't sleep. I keep waking up. Did you have a bad dream? He shook his head from side to side. No, just can't sleep. It's weird here. I get that. When you're in an unfamiliar place, I can totally understand it'd be hard to fall asleep sometimes. You frowned. You helped your mom's redecorate it only a few months back. I like my room. It's not that it's bad. I just always sleep in my bed in my room. Just by this point, I'm surprised I didn't offer him my bed by this point. That's made things a little clearer. It wasn't anything that you'd done. Cove couldn't sleep in a new place. You wondered how long it took for Cove's bedroom in his new house to not be weird to him. Probably a while. I'm gonna go. What? That shook off the last of your doziness. He was going to walk outside back to his own house, this time of night, all by himself? That's not a good idea. He noted your shocked expression and looked at you with resolve. My dad will let me in, and I've gone outside late before, and I have to go. Well, if you have to... You don't have to. I'll come with you. I should tell my mom. Realistically, that's what I would say. I should tell my moms. No, I don't want you to. I'll just leave. My dad can call them in the morning. You knew that you could just let him go, but something inside you was saying that wouldn't be the right thing to do. Yeah. It's too late for you to go outside on your own. It'd be bad. Cove grumbled quietly, though stayed put. Okay, you can tell them. I'll wait. Good. When you crept into their room, Mom was still up reading in bed, while Mommy had already fallen asleep. Well, that's good. I'm glad one of them is still awake. When Mom woke Mommy up, they were both surprised to hear that Cove wanted to leave, and the two of them followed you back to your room to see him. So I like this. I like that I asked for help from my parents.
Sweetie.
Cove, are you alright, sweetie? Is there anything we can do to help? Mommy sounded tired after having just woken up, but she smiled at Cove kindly. Cove shook his head firmly, not meeting anyone's eyes as he did so. I just want to go home. We're sorry you don't feel comfortable staying. How about you come downstairs with us and we'll call your dad to get you? Cove headed towards the door. He stopped halfway there and turned back to you. Bye, Vaughn. I'm sorry. I'll see you tomorrow. I'd be a little disappointed. Like, I feel like I felt like, the sleepover was going so well, and then he had to leave early. Like, that would be a really big bummer for me if I really was looking forward to, spending the whole night and then having breakfast the next morning, because that's also part of the fun too. But I get it, I get it. I'll try to be understanding. Bye, Cove. You watched as he shuffled past your mom's and out of the room, and Mom turned to you before leaving. All right, off to sleep, kiddo. We'll make sure Cove is taken care of. Good night again. I'm really happy that this was a good solution, because I just didn't feel like letting an 8-year-old out. I mean, I don't know how the neighborhood is. It sounds like the neighborhood is perfectly fine, but even then, it just feels so irresponsible just to let an 8-year-old kid walk home in the middle of the night. That just isn't... 8-year-olds should not be around in the middle of the night, in my opinion. That's just some bad juju. Doesn't feel right. Good night, Vaughn. And plus, I mean, I totally would be telling my parents, because that would be, in my head, the right thing to do. You listened to the sounds of their footsteps on the stairs as you huddled back down in bed, pulling your blanket up around your shoulders. You were sad that Cove wanted to leave. You thought the two of you were having a good time, but you understood that it might be hard to sleep somewhere other than your own bed. Eventually, your eyes started getting heavy, and with a loud yawn, you finally got comfortable in your bed and drifted off to sleep. The next morning, you were woken by the sound of Mom's voice and a soft shake on your shoulder. Vaughn, wake up, it's time to get up and at 'em. The sun was peeking through your curtains, and you rubbed at your eyes as they adjusted to the new light. Mom sat down in the bed next to you and you blinked at her for a moment, confused. You blinked at her for a moment, confused, until you caught the empty sleeping bag on the ground and remembered what had happened during the night. Mr. Holden came over to pick Cove and take him home. You should have seen his hair when he turned up, half asleep. It was even messier than Mommy's in the morning. She chuckled at the thought, and you could tell she was trying to make you feel better about the whole situation, so you smiled back at her.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting us know that Cove wasn't feeling good, Vaughn. That was a nice thing to do. You nodded in agreement, and Mom went on to say that maybe once Cove started to feel more comfortable, that he could try and sleep over again sometime. You smiled, looking forward to another chance to show him how fun your house could be. The next time you saw Cove and Mr. Holden, they both apologized for Cove having left so suddenly. You assured them that it was okay. In the end, the two of you and your parents were eventually able to move past the ill-fated sleepover. Yeah, it could have been better, but it could have been worse. And the important thing that we found out about this is that we realized we established our relationship. We established that we were indeed friends, and we got him to try some new food and to try something new, and we got to share a really cool moment with the book. So when you think about it, a lot of really good things happened. So I shouldn't complain too much. It had all been a learning experience, according to the adults. You could accept that. There were definitely things you learned from it. Oh yeah. Okay. So I think that maybe it might be, I feel like it's one of those things where you can only choose a certain number of them, maybe? And then you choose a certain number of them and then it continues on or something. I don't know. Shopping, grown-up, long day, sandcastle, fireflies, runaway, barbecue, ghost, library. Halloween is fun. I kind of want to do Halloween. Let's do ghost. It might not even be Halloween. It might just be it could just be, supernatural stuff. But, let's do it. Ghost. The night was incredibly still. You really couldn't ignore how silent it was. It was almost eerie. You could even hear Lizzie snoring in the next room over. It was hard to believe how much of a blur today was. Summer sure did slip right past you. You flicked through the moments like pages in a scrapbook as you laid in bed. The ones that stuck out all seemed to include your new neighbor, Cove. It was funny how he'd become such a big part of your life in such a short span of time. You thought a lot about what adventures you could have tomorrow until sleep started to catch up to you. Then you heard something scrape against the window. It wasn't that uncommon for the wind to push a tree branch against the glass. Summer breezes were the worst sometimes. But the more he tried to ignore it, the louder it seemed like it became. It was like something was trying to get to your attention.